Hello, I'm Richard Raffan. In this video you'll see what I can do, in fact I will see what I can do with these two odd bits of box elder offcuts. I've no idea what's going to come out. It might be two little bowls, it might be a box. We will see. These two blanks came out of I think a bowl blank which hadn't been very well cut. I can see figure in there, so I've cut chunks free of the major splits and so on, and then I've drilled a couple of holes with a Forstner bit so I can mount them over these long-nosed jaws, shark jaws. And the first job really is just to get these pieces round, so I know what material I've got to play with. So and I'm thinking they might make a small bowl each, or they might combine to make a box. But I'll get a better idea once I know how much material I've got to play with. And initially this hole is somewhat on the skew, so I'm going to line up this face with the face of the chuck, so it's at 90 degrees to the lathe axis, more or less. Looks more rather than less, which is good. Now, don't need that length of rest, so never really need never use a longer rest than you absolutely have to. It's always best, even with very substantial rests like this, try and work near the tool post, because even these, if you start to measure it, they're always going to vibrate as you get thinner and further away from the support. Right, as usual, roughing down with a 1/2 inch spindle gouge. So all I want is a round blank with all the defects removed. And the other thing I want fairly early on is a foot I can grab, so if this does come off I can remount it easily. Here that's down to smooth. Just ease the tool in so I've got something to grab. So at this stage I've got a foot, a teeny little flat bit just there. Otherwise that's beginning to look pretty good. Don't go right off the other face. You come in from the other face so you don't chip the wood out on the end grain. And just finger underneath the rest and ease the tool forward with my thumb. So you have more control that way than pushing with your whole hand. Just smooth up the top face, so flat area there, so that's going to come out. If you're not quite sure where the flat area stops and starts, put a little line in. There's a teeny flat area just there. It's not really material to anything, so that really is a pretty well straight line from that corner up to there, so that lump's got to come off. Still there. I've lost the corner in there, so I'll just put another one in. I'm not really measuring that because I know I've got a chuck which will grab that, probably this one. So that's that bit done. Now do the same with the other one. That was a more symmetrical block in the first place, so it's not so difficult to line up the top face with the chuck. going up here. Teeny flat, pretty well there. So still a little bit of bark there, otherwise there's a teeny chip out there, but that's pretty well right. So this is what I have to play with. So do I want two little bowls or some kind of little rounded pot? And I think I will go for the rounded pot. So bases are pretty well the same size. I'll have a little think and get back. My little think was a bit faster than I was expecting. It was about 30 seconds. So I'm going to have this as the base, and I'm thinking in terms of a rounded bottom here, and the lid we'll see what happens to that later. I haven't really got any definite ideas there, but it will have a lid. Now this, I'm going to true all this inside up, so this goes into the chuck first. So a little shoulder there, so that goes right up against the jaws. Still the 1/2 inch spindle gouge. I'm just going to true all this up inside. It's a 3/4 inch square inch draper. And I can also hollow it out a bit more speed. Now running at 1634. This is also going to come down in size a bit. So I want it to be slightly smaller than the lid. That needs to be just trued up a little bit better than that. So I can just put it straight onto the chuck and it'll be running through. Now up to 1900, in fact 1900. Now what do I want here? Still need a foot. New boxes with feet, but like this, but a big one. I'll just curve the top in a bit. Right, so, and I'm going to scrape this. comes up a bit smoother with scraping, and particularly shear scraping. So tools tilted up on edge. Feels a little rough, isn't quite the right word. There's still some of the original outside there, and I think that would be better removed. There. It's gone. Of course that changes the whole shape. So at the moment we're just going for a nice little rounded curve. I can change that a little bit later if I want to when I'm hollowing. This needs to come down in size a bit now. I don't think this is going to fit a chuck as is. But it's about the size I'd like. So if I fit it right into those chuck jaws, that's it now. So that just means that this will be re-chucked and the foot will be returned later, so that's no big deal. Get a better surface on the bottom here. There's the 3 spindle guards. $3.20. Finish this when I do the inside. Make sure I've got plenty of lid. Right, so this is now going to get rounded out. Slightly less than that one. Oh, better make sure I got the right one. I'll go slightly more than that one. Yeah. Right, no nasty surprises on the inside. Bit careless. The 1-inch round nose scraper. Slight bump in there. It's pretty old and powdery, this stuff, so I suspect I'm going to need, it doesn't sound as if it's cutting that cleanly, chipping out a bit, so I'll probably have to sand it fairly aggressively. Little kind of flat, teeny little flat area there, which might sand out, but so in onto this with 120 grit. Just a little bit too wide, that paper. It's not paper, it's cloth back. And the rim just chamfered in very slightly to make for a better join between the lid and the base. Blue, which is the 240 grit. I started using rice oil, so I couldn't get any boiled linseed. It seemed to come up quite nicely, and bring the beeswaxy sock in on top of that. To turn the bottom off this, I should be able to just turn it round onto the chuck here. Just trying to find one of the grooves. The shark jaws have these serrations, so I would just want to fit the screw the lid up on one of those. Now 3/8 spindle gouge. Very slightly out of whack. there, but that just come in, and then sanding will take care of any of the little differences down there. Now, do I want the foot absolutely straight or with a bit of a curve? Put a bit of a curve into it, I think. Gives a bit more character. And earlier on I forgot to do anything with the base. Just little arcing cuts with the gouge. So, one easy grip. It would probably have been safer to put this over a jam chuck, because there is a danger with some chucks that as you turn the lathe on, the jaws expand just enough to split something like this. Nice, simple, quick finish, but it does require ongoing maintenance, in that you can polish it up over the years and it'll just look better and better. Whereas if you seal wood, nothing ever goes into it and it never really looks any better, but can look worse. So that's my base, and there's my potential lid. So now pop this into the chuck here. And the next job is to, this is going to be, don't know what to do, no, it'll be an in-fitting lid, so I need to measure this diameter, the internal diameter of the bowl, and transfer it to there. First, screw this up. Only have the left point in the wood. Of course, if you get the right point in, it'll want to come round over here. And you don't want your fingers in the way of that, and it just makes a mess anyway. So, that's going to fit in. Probably easier to do it with a smaller tool. So at the moment that is a very slight chamfer. Shade loose if anything. So I can just increase the length of that chamfer at an angle, and that will now be fairly tight fitting. I want this to overhang the rim on the outside. Just make sure that's going to work. Yeah, that's good. Now hollow out the inside of the lid. So the tool goes in right on its side. If you're having problems with the tool catching back, just roll the tool over a little bit further so you can't see the flute, and that'll probably solve your problem. fairly kind of pointy looking lid by the look of it. Very nice cut, but didn't quite get it right in the middle, so I normally do this thing with a scraper just in the middle. Now the other thing is I'm going to need some detail on the inside so that I can remount this over the jaws I've got here. So they just need to be small in the diameter, which I can see, and you can do that either with a skew chisel or which is probably the best way of doing it, with a small skew. What have I got here? Oh, picked up the 3/4 inch skew. Breast comes up a bit because it's essentially scraping. The idea is just have a couple of little grooves in there which look decorative. That's the whole idea, but in fact they're for one purpose only, and that is to locate the chuck jaws. So the inside gets sanded. .180 grit this time. I've forgotten to do that little bit. I'll use the skew. There's a negative rate scraper in there. That's not doing the job. That is. .240. Rice oil. And one thing I must do is measure the, just mark where the depth is, and it's a bit nearer the top than I thought. Be exciting. So I've got about ½ inch, 15 millimeters to play with for the knob, so that'll be all right. So these jaws will just locate on one of those little grooves. So I'll get some basic shape into this. I'll probably have a little knob on of some sort. No, that's the moment. Now this will be small enough that a hand will be able to reach over the whole of the top. So either I'm going to follow this curve here up into the top and make it kind of rounded all together, or I'm going to have a kind of ogee. I normally go for the ogee in this situation, but I will definitely go for the ogee because of the shape of the inside. Right, so just a long pull cut. a bit. It's usually quite nice to have the kind of outside just coming up a little bit. And this get in there and have a little shear cut here. This is the 3/8 bowl gouge. Good tight bowl this. A nice advantage of working this way around is I can take this on and off the chuck as often as I like, just to have a look and see how things are developing. I've got a little bit more wood there, so it could just come to be a bit more of a bell shape. And I might even put a teeny little line in there, which is on the, if I project that curve through, that's about where it comes to. Right, I'll use my new pointy tool for this. Stick a line in there. Sticking, no, one will be enough. And bring that in a little bit tighter, just kind of squeeze that through the curve. Almost lost my line. All right, the kind of bird's eye is chipping out on the end there, so that'll be sandable. Coming up on the top, likely have the same problem as down here. We'll just see with that the little gouge, it feels better. Same here. And usual on my little boxes like this, I'll put an inset bead. Just sweeping the point of the 3/8 gouge back, taking the handle through it, taking the edge through an arc, and the handle is basically going round in a circle anti-clockwise. And come in underneath the bead, that just defines it a bit better. And sand. 180 grit. Now the definition in under the knob could be a little bit better, so I'll just get my new pointy tool in there. add a bit more wax up on the top here.